Hi, my name is Brian Buckalew from Provision Studios. I'm going to start a new web series called In the Mix, and the purpose of In the Mix is to give my subscribers a real world journey into a recording studio at the what I would call the project studio slash home studio level. I have a closed-in garage and in my home, and I record bands and other artists, some singer-songwriter, some hip-hop, but the majority of them are bands in my home studio. The primary objective for me is to help bring quality music to my area instead of people trying to do mixes on their own. With some of the technology that is currently available, why it is certainly feasible for bands to do their own mixes, I'm trying to offer them my expertise at an affordable rate and helping, like I said, promote better music in the area, or better quality of music. So there's no real local to our music scene where I live. Everything sounds like it's been done in a professional studio where people have gone off, maybe paid thousands of dollars at a fraction of the cost, and just doing it here in my home project studio. The plan is to have local artists appear in some of these videos where I do guitar, vocal, drums, and whatnot in actual real live studio sessions. I also will show mixing techniques, why I do something, how I would fix a certain take that wasn't optimal and try to get the best out of it. In my studio, I try to get the best take I can to start with, and then that way I'm not trying to fix stuff in the mix. I'm sort of trying to enhance what already sounds good. I record everything from heavy metal to thrash metal to bluegrass, country, and gospel, and everything in between. So some of the artists I may record may not be to your liking, but that doesn't mean that you won't eventually hear something that you really do like. I try not to turn anyone away. I try to work with all musicians, all artists, with the same mindset. I want to give them the opportunity to have their music be heard by everyone. And right now I'm going to dive in and show you some of my gear. Okay, everybody, this is the basic layout of my studio, my project studio. I have a 27-inch iMac. I run into a Soundcraft Signature 22 multi-track. That runs, like I said, into the iMac. I have a Slate Raven for what you would call digital mixing. So I mix in the box, and I also mix outside, in analog prior to going into Pro Tools. So let's take a closer look at the way I have it set up. Okay, we're back. Here's the Signature 22 multi-track from Soundcraft. Basically what we got here is a lot of times I record, it's just me, so I use what you see right here is my tablet, my Mac Mini with the DAW Remote HD. What that is an app that allows me to control Pro Tools right from the tablet. So let's say I'm on the other side of the room. I want to hit play on my session, but I'm nowhere near my computer. This controls Pro Tools, so I could hit play. And it allows me to record. I can arm certain tracks for recording. so on and so forth. This is a very handy device for me to use, again, as I run my project studio. I can add tracks, I can delete tracks, I can pan, I can actually mix on the that app without even going near the computer. So it has benefits for the way that my studio is. Now, the Signature 22 is awesome in that I get, basically I run my my little bro Pro Connects mini snake into the top of the Signature 22 right here. So I got 8 going in there, and that is right over here. So that little Pro Connect snake runs into 8 channels into the Soundcraft, and that is used primarily for drums. That's where I go in drums. You will then see a couple of the channels, 1, 2, 3, the first 6 have the limiter going into it, which is the DBX limiter. So you would turn the limiter on, and then you would adjust your gain right here while the person plays. Let's say if it's a snare drum. While they're hitting the snare, you will adjust the gain there to just where it starts hitting the limiter. Then you back off a little bit and you're good to go. The channels 7 and 8, while they have the limiter as well, they also have high Z inputs for instruments such as guitar and bass. And then tracks 9 and 10, while they don't have the limiter, they do have the high Z. So your first 10 channels are all set up specifically to run studio instruments. Whether it's going in through the 8 channels, like I have it set up with a snake. I mean, you could get obviously you could get a bigger snake and run all 16 if you wanted. When you get up to channel 15, they start doubling up, where you've got 15 and 16 are on here, 17, 18 are on here, 19 and 20 are through these stereo TRS inputs, and 21, 22 is basically your playback or your into your device. But you could still record in from the RCA jacks that are there. And the USB right there is your send into your computer. And then obviously you have all the amenities of a 22 channel mixer. I mean, it's an awesome device. I just got it a couple months ago, so I'm still learning how to use it, but it has really worked well in my studio so far. Okay, then from the Soundcraft, again, I go via that USB cable into my iMac running Pro Tools. I use Pro Tools as my primary DAW, my primary recording program, and that I run the edit window on the iMac, and then I run the mix window on the Slate Raven right here. So Slate Raven and the iMac are running at basically this is an extended desktop or a second monitor is how it's set up, and I mix on it in the box, adding plugins, doing level adjustments, and then I'll bounce everything down, or I should say I route everything to instrument groups. So you'll see in this session right here, I've got all the basses going into my bass bus. Then I've got all the drums in a drum, guitar, vocal, and synth. And then what happens is I route those as back into the signature in stereo pairs. So the bass will go here, the drums, the guitar, the vocals, the synths, and then I'll do an analog board mix from my stems, and then get my stereo master back. Now, actually, Armored Track back in Pro Tools off of the Soundcraft board. So I get to mix in the box, and I also get to mix through the Soundcraft board for a true hybrid studio experience. I get the best of both worlds. I get a great analog board running through a great digital software as Pro Tools, and then again maximizing the Soundcraft again, but when I'm done mixing, to get a final analog feel back into my mix, running the stems back through the Soundcraft board. Also, other gear that I have that since I got the Soundcraft, I haven't had the need to use as much. First off is the Focusrite Sapphire Pro 40. This was my primary recording interface for a couple years. Now I'm holding on to it in case something should happen to the Soundcraft. I would have the Focusrite to fall back onto, because it is 8 channels of digital ins. So I got 2 on the front, and then there's another 6 on the back to give you 8. Then on top of it, I use this still, the Effects Project channel. This is a great channel strip that is sort of like a best of some of Effects' best hardware preamps. So I use this for certain sounds, or certain if I need to get a certain compression that I'm going for, that the Soundcraft won't allow me to do, I'll run through the project channel. It is a really good preamp channel strip. Then on the bottom here, I've got the 11 rack, which is my I guess you would call my guitar amp. Again, this is a project studio, so I don't go out and buy a Marshall stack for guys to come in the studio and record. I bought the 11 rack, and then this is how I, when guitar players come in, they run through this, and then they'll be able to get any kind of sound that they need. We'll tweak it however they need it, and then that'll go into the board. Now, since I've got the Soundcraft, I have been using the 11 rack a lot less, and have been using, again, depending on the artist, I have been using either miking up someone's amp and running it through the board, which gets great results, or I've been using in the box plugins, amp emulators, such as the PV line, the UAD has got some great guitar room stuff. I've also been using some of the Slate stuff. So there's a lot of really good emulators out there that when I run a guitar through the Soundcraft, I really get a really good quality going into the amp emulator. On top of everything else there, you'll see I have my headphone amp. That is the Behringer PowerPlay Pro XL. That gives me 4 amp channels, and then 4 on the back per channel. So I've got 4 and then 16 total. So you can run 16 headphones out of the back. Power conditioner on top, Furman. I use the M8X2. I leave the front one open in case someone comes in and they need the outlet. That helps. If someone's got an amp or something, or a device that they need plugged in, I'll leave that open. So, and that's basically it. I record everything onto an external hard drive. I use the Western Digital right there. So everything goes onto it via Thunderbolt. And that's basically, and then, okay, yeah, I use JBL monitors. I've got a pair of those, so that's how I monitor. I've used a couple other brands in the past, and JBLs, I really like them, so that's what I've been using lately. And that's about it. I have two synthesizers that I use as ways to put in strings, choir, maybe even guitars, depending on the song. I also do scoring for commercials and stuff. So I've have a need for the synthesizer as a MIDI controller, and to put samples into certain sessions. So the studio, it really is more of a project studio than a recording studio. Again, I guess you could say I record out of necessity. I really am set up to be a mix engineer, where people have their stuff recorded somewhere else and then they bring their tracks here, and then I would mix their sessions for them. That's ideally what I would do, but again, out of necessity, I've had to take on basically all comers, just so that I can stay busy and make money. In the next video, I'm gonna delve in, and I got a band coming in next week. They've booked the whole week in the studio, so I'm going to try to get a lot of video of that, showing you how I do drums, how I do guitars, how I would do a bass. Hopefully I'll get the vocals all done all next week too, and I'm going to try to get video of all of that, and I'll be able to post that up, and then start getting some feedback from you guys. What, there's something that you didn't see that you wanted to see. There's something that you saw that you weren't sure what you were seeing. There's something you don't understand. You're not interested at all. You're interested at all what I'm saying. You'd rather I just shut up and stop making videos. Whatever. I'm doing this to try to help people stay interested in recording music. Maybe get over some stumbling blocks that they've encountered in their journey. I know that for me, I'm not by any means a world-class recording engineer or mix engineer or producer. What I am is a person that loves to work with music. It's my passion. It's my reason for living, and I value each minute I'm out here in the studio, getting to work. Maybe not just on my music, but with other artists. I am truly blessed, and I want to pass that blessing on to as many people that are receptive to that message. Okay, so I'll be getting ready to do another video here in a couple days as soon as that band comes in. In the meantime, if you guys got any questions, just email me at brianbuckalew@yahoo.com, BrianBuckalew@yahoo.com, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much, and have a blessed day.